Man, woman, birth, death, infinity.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the Your Health television program here on AMP's Cable Channel 24 and on the internet at www.ampmedia.org. Join our rotating host and their informative guest live every Monday afternoon at 4 o'clock. The purpose of the Your Health television program is to help get, make, and keep listeners and viewers like you healthy. And now, ladies and gentlemen, on with the program.
Hello and welcome to the Your Health television program hosted by the Monterey County Health Department. I'm Emily Sciolto, your host today, and just about every third Monday of each month. Perhaps you heard about the recently released UC Davis report entitled Addressing Nitrate in California's Drinking Water. Catch that one? This report, which was the first comprehensive scientific investigation of nitrate contamination in the Salinas Valley and other California agricultural areas, found that 1 in 10 people living in California's most productive ag areas is at risk for exposure to harmful levels of nitrate in their drinking water. Nitrogen in organic and synthetic fertilizers has dramatically increased crop production in California in recent decades. However, excess nitrate in groundwater from surface nitrogen has been linked to thyroid illness, cancer, and reproductive problems, just to name a few, and the list really does go on. I mention this study and report today as it is a perfect example of the importance of knowing what is being utilized for agricultural production and how it impacts those who work in these areas as well as nearby communities and environments. Another good example is a study called CHAMACOS, the Center for Health Assessment for Mothers and Children of Salinas. This study focuses on the health and development of children living in Latino agricultural communities, as well as community outreach and education on some of these very important environmental health issues. Here to talk more with me today about their involvement in the CHAMACOS study are members of the CHAMACOS Youth Community Council and their collaborative partners. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome my first guests to the program, Ms. Gardenia Casillas and Mr. Ramon Jimenez. Welcome, Gardenia and Ramon. Thank you for being here. Please take a moment to introduce yourselves by telling the audience your role in the study.
Well, hello. My name is Ramon Jimenez, and I am a sophomore at Everett High School. And my role is that I am a participant in the YCC, Youth Community Council.
Great.
Hello, Emily. Thanks for having us on this show. My name is Gardenia Casillas, and I graduated from Everett High School. Currently, I'm a student at UC Berkeley, and I also work for CHAMACOS and the community outreach and translation area aspect of it. And I co-facilitate the Youth Community Council along with Daniel Madrigal, who is a community outreach coordinator.
Fantastic. So tell me more about the CHAMACOS study.
Well, the CHAMACOS study stands for, like you mentioned, the Center for the Health Assessment of Mothers and Children of Salinas, and it follows a group of mothers and children in Salinas to look at how chemicals and other exposures to, for example, pesticides affect the health of children, affect the health, growth, and development of children in the Salinas Valley. It started in 1999, and it enrolled 600 women into the study during their prenatal visits. And we've been following those women, taking blood samples, also asking them questions through surveys, and looking at how these exposures are affecting the health of their children. The study is also funded by the federal government.
Great. So you've enrolled 600 people, and you followed them since 1999. Is that what you said?
Yes, that's correct.
Not all 600 people, but most of them.
Yeah, well, we've tried to, we've been following those 600 women, but yeah, of course, it's hard to follow all of them, but we've been trying to increase those numbers and keep it at 600 women, yeah.
Fantastic. That's a large cohort.
Yes, definitely.
How does the CHAMACOS study connect with the Salinas Valley community?
Well, to us, community outreach is really important because that's a way, one of the goals of the study is to actually improve the health of children in the Salinas Valley, but also to try to disseminate our research findings to the community for the results to not just get stuck in a journal. Some of the goals of community outreach are to disseminate our research findings, and that we do it through our website, www.search.org, and we also do that through a newsletter and also through community forums. Another goal of community outreach is to inform the community about our research findings, and we do that through health fairs, training professionals, health professionals, and puppet shows for children, and also like presentations and educational resources. Another goal is to train the next generation of environmental health leaders, and that we do it through the Youth Community Council. And lastly, our goal is to educate policymakers on environmental health issues.
Wow, you guys are busy.
Yeah.
So how did the Youth Community Council get started?
The council got started last year in August 2010 with about 11 youth from Alisa High School. Currently we have 16 youth, and some are from Salinas High School. Others are from Everett Alvarez High School and also Alisa High School. The purpose of the Youth Community Council and why it got started was to try to train and educate youth on current environmental health issues and about issues in their community, both positive issues and negative issues, and also to be able to train and provide the tools for youth to make a positive change in their community.
Fantastic. So why did you first get involved in the CHAMACOS Youth Community Council?
Well, Emily, in the summer of 2011, my friend Jesus asked me, he said, and I quote, what are you doing this summer? And I was like, well, I'm not really doing anything. Why? And he's all, well, there's this great group called the CHAMACOS, and they're pretty much, they have a sub-branch called the YCC, Youth Community Council, which helps us help the environment pretty much. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'm pretty interested. Why? What do you guys do? Or like, what's happening? He's like, well, I haven't really joined, but I heard it's a really great program. And I was like, yeah. And actually, I was interested because recently, there's a new Walmart here. I thought that that was kind of like a waste of space since we already have another Walmart. And I wanted to make a difference in my community. I wanted more recreational sites for the youth, because I don't think that there's enough, thus youth gets bored and is more prone to gangs or drugs to entertain themselves, versus
CHAMACOS Youth Community Council?
Yeah, exactly.
Fantastic. Thanks for the antidote too. And what about you, Gardenia?
Well, growing up in Salinas, which is known as a low-income community, and also coming from immigrant and farm-working parents, growing up, I really found it challenging to find those resources and that support to support me and encourage me to pursue a higher education. And now being at UC Berkeley, I really wanted to take advantage of all the opportunities and resources given to me at my fingertips, to a lot of those resources that are not offered to youth in Salinas, and for friends that friends in Salinas do not have access to. And so one of those resources and one of that mentorship that I found at UC Berkeley was a CHAMACOS study, and it was through the community outreach I was able to really get that interaction with youth in Salinas and mentor them and encourage them also to go to school, aside from training them on environmental health issues, which is one of my passions.
Excellent. So you guys meet every Saturday? Or every other Saturday? Every other Saturday. What do you do during your meetings?
Well, usually during our meetings we check in, discuss, we usually discuss current environmental health issues, such as the nitrates you were discussing earlier. We actually discussed that in our last meeting, and we're just discussing it and saying what we can do to help, but also just to be aware, because most of us weren't aware. For example, I wasn't aware of that issue. And yeah, we usually study that. We also plan and give feedback to our projects, like the 5K and the LSR recycling program, future steps that can help us, advance in our goals.
And another thing that we do during the meetings is try to develop youth leadership skills. and through the youth just speak about those environmental health issues and also think about ways that they can improve those issues. And after the meetings, the youth are provided with a small stipend, and because we really value the youth's time and the youth's just dedication to be there at the meetings.
Great. So you guys sort of brush up on any current environmental issues, work on giving feedback on projects that you have upcoming or recently have completed. So it's a nice check-in. It's a good opportunity for you to get together, too.
Yeah, definitely.
And I went to one of your meetings. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome anytime.
So what has been the response from members of the community to your projects or your actions?
Well, so far I think we've had a very positive response, because various elected officials seem very interested in our projects, such as the 5K or the All-Star Recycling Program. Many have seemed interested. We told them about it, and they seem very enthusiastic, and they really want to help us help the community, and that's good.
Great.
Yeah, we Ramon said, we had a really positive feedback, or we've had really positive feedback from the community. One example that I can think of is during community forums, community members are really want to know about the research findings and what we found in the community that they live there in Salinas, and they really started talking about ways that they can protect themselves, for example, from pesticides. And so it was really nice to see that a community came together and wanted to know about what was going on and actually talk about ways that they can protect themselves and ways that this issue can improve.
That's great. So you guys are seeing results from your involvement.
Most definitely.
Awesome. Yeah. So how can other youth in Salinas get involved in what you're doing?
Well, actually, we have a Facebook page. It's under CHAMACOS YCC.
Okay.
And there you can find information, all kinds of information on how you could participate in our upcoming events, such as the 5K and the All-Star Recycling Program. So, yeah.
Like Ramon said, we have a Facebook page. In the future, we're going to be recruiting more youth. The Facebook website is facebook.com/ChamacosYCC. Or if there's any youth out there that is interested in joining, we're always very welcoming. Or even, for them to help us in the youth in their projects. And they can email the website, which is chamacos.ycc@gmail.com.
Okay, great. Hopefully I can remember those things to repeat them when we're done here. So have you worked on any major projects? You were mentioning a couple, Ramon.
Oh yeah, well actually in the summer, they derived from the major project we did in the summer, which was called Photo Voice, which Crystal and Irene will talk about later in the show. But what he pretty much said was, we highlighted the good and the bad of Salinas, and from those pictures, we derived two projects, the 5K, which I think is happening on June 2nd, and in Tivadai Creek Park. And it's pretty much like a walk-run health fair to get people to exercise more, and also to the slogan we kind of have is invest more in the youth. So we're kind of working all these projects into these projects, right? And also the All-Star Recycling Program, because we think every school should have a nice recycling program to better the environment.
What is that program about? What happens?
Well, what pretty much it is there's a recycling bin in every classroom. So because before there's only a trash can, now there's a recycling one, so you have the choice to recycle.
Great.
Yeah, and to add to that, the Photo Waste project, like Ramon mentioned, the recycling program and the walkathon, or the walk run, came from the Photo Waste project. And right now the youth are really excited and really committed to these projects. And hopefully in the future, soon the recycling project is being set up, and also the 5K happening later on in the summer. So hopefully that will be talked about later on in the show.
Okay. So what messages do you have for the young people of Salinas? What type of messaging are you putting out there in these various projects? Recycling we've got exercise you mentioned. What else?
Well, something I'd say for the youth is to follow your education, because if you're well educated, then you could speak more confidently about the topics you want to support. Yeah, definitely stay in school, and join clubs, especially YCC. It doesn't have to be your school. Any club really that'll help your community is great.
And what would you say?
Well, I would encourage all youth, to really be committed to their community and never give up on their community, because it's a really valuable place, and it's for me, it's my home, and I know that is true for many of the youth in the youth council. And I really want them to find that support group here in Salinas and encouragement to pursue a higher education.
And so what about the adults? We hear a lot about the youth. Oh, they're going in the wrong direction, and you just provided some really great messages for youth. What about adults? What do you want them to know?
Well, I would say support your kids, whatever they want to be or whatever they want to do, support them, because I think that many youth don't have the support from their family, and therefore get into bad habits and such. So I think, yeah, it's definitely, if the parents supported the youth, or not even parents, just adults supported the youth more, I think that would definitely help.
And to add to that, I really want to encourage parents to stay informed, and to stay informed through, for example, the CHAMACOS study, and informed about things that affect their children's health negatively, but also to just be involved in their children's life, because I think it's really important to have a parent support in their process of pursuing a higher education or becoming successful in that sense.
That sounds like it's well fitting with the messages that you provided to the youth. One thing that I think I learned from being at a Saturday meeting of yours was kind of clarified what environmental issues are and how you guys see them. And I think it's important to keep in mind too that when we talk about environmental health and environmental issues, it's not just issues about the environment. It's about people, in the health of people, and what happens with their health, and how negative environmental impacts can have on their health, correct?
Yeah. Correct. One of the other things that we found that the students actually took pictures of, and issues that they were discussing during the meetings, was access to fresh fruits and vegetables, accessibility and walkability issues. So one of the students took a picture of things, for example, lack of areas where people can go out and exercise. And I think one of the students is going to talk about that picture later on in the show. And so environmental health is not just about negative things in your community, like, for example, accessibility, but then also the youth took pictures of things that affect their health positively, for example, a recycling bench, and they wanted to show with that picture how it's really important to recycle, because for the health of the community, because we can get more recycling benches in our parks. And so that is one of the reasons also why they're establishing that recycling program at LSL High School.
Well, great. Thank you for that. I just wanted to make sure I was on the right track, too, with this. So I think we're going to take a quick break here. Gardenia and Ramon, thank you so much for taking the time to be with me today. And, thank you for all that you do to help bring awareness to these issues in your community. Your enthusiasm is definitely contagious. I was so happy on Saturday a few weeks ago after I spent some time with you guys. So for more information, please visit the CHAMACOS study online at the Center for Environmental Research in Children's Health. That's www.cerch.org. Go on Facebook, look under CHAMACOS YCC, that's the Youth Community Council. Become a fan. And I think right now we're going to take a short break, but please don't touch that dial. We'll be back in just a moment with more of the Your Health television program.